Nation, Happy New Year and welcome to a live edition of Around the Round. I'm your host, Kyle McGrath. I'm here with my co-host, Phil Cavalcante. How you doing, Phil?
It's great to be here, Kyle. New Year 2013, always a pleasure visiting the Cronum Studios. Happy to be here to talk Cronum with you.
Yeah, man, this is our first podcast since the Nimble Jacks defeated the Urban Legends in the Cronum League Finals of Season 3, and much has happened since then.
A lot's happened since then. A new team, a lot of new talent coming into the league, new players, a lot of young, fresh activity going on. We're very excited about it this year.
Yeah, man. Here on Around the Round, though, we're going to be updating you on the entire Cronum League Season 4, the expansion of Cronum League to new locations, and much, much more. On tonight's show, we'll be premiering the Season 4 team preview videos. We got a chance to catch up with each of the team captains and get their take on the clubs and how they've changed and what they're anticipating to do this season. Also, you'll get a first look at the Evergreens, our new expansion club. So let's just kick it off right now with them. The expansion club made some noise in the preseason, going 6-4 with a good mix of veteran influence, some new rookies, and a superstar on offense by the name of Joe Petrino. Rookie captain Ryan Ayers led his club, and he doesn't want you to be fooled by his new guy label. In fact, the Cronum League founder says that their wedgeback Ryan Malley may be the Rookie of the Year.
Being a rookie captain was kind of funny. When I talked to some of the other captains, they were kind of like, oh, you know, I don't know how many guys are going to want to listen to you. Kind of why I go in the mindset where, you know, I'm not a one-man show. I'm the captain, but I don't hold that to anyone. I mean, anytime anyone has a suggestion, feel free. Let me know. Anything we can do to help the team out, I'm all for it. Specific challenges I've faced trying to captain is just trying to learn where everyone's going to want to play, who they want to play with, just trying to find that little in-between where we can all sub in and out and not lose our flow. Joe Petrino, he actually leads the way. He's just phenomenal with ring shots and he's just got a great idea of how to play the game. Well, I don't think we have one skill set, but we just base our gameplay on hustling, and that's what the Evergreens are all about. Coming into it, having rookies, it was going to be tough to try to get these guys to challenge themselves and to want to be better than some of the pros out here, and it hasn't actually, because my guys are so competitive that they want to prove that they're just not the new guy. They want to prove that, hey, they just came in, but they're still going to compete. We never come into it as, oh, no, we're rookies. I mean, it's better. Let us be the underdogs, and we'll surprise you. Expectations are high. We're expecting to be a competitor. Anyone who thinks we're not is in for a real treat because, hey, we're not laying down for anyone. I don't care if you won the past 3 championships or if you were 0-11 last year, it doesn't matter. We're going to come in hard and we're just going to play our game. Be excited to see the Evergreens. You're going to see some new guys you haven't heard of. I'm real pumped and ready to go, and I think the Evergreens are too, and we're just ready to compete. That's all we can do.
I must say, Phil, I'm really excited to watch the Evergreens Cronum Club this year. You know, I saw a lot of what I saw in the 2009 Nimble Jacks team in terms of chemistry and, you know, just that desire to want to win every game and play in 3 periods, you know, of a Cronum game.
Absolutely, Kyle. When you're looking at the Evergreens, you see a lot of factors coming into their overall complex of a team, which I like to look at it as. And they have guys like Dom Petrino, they got guys like Ryan Malley playing in goal, and, you know, Dom has, I think, learned from his brother how to score a little bit, and another guy like Malley's starting to put together a complete game. Guys like Alec Jadecki, TJ Kane are defensive stalwarts that can really shut down a #1 opposition player, and especially a primetime scorer.
Yeah, speaking of Don Petrino's brother, Joe Petrino, coming over from the Nimble Jacks, he was 6th in the league in scoring last year with 227 points in his rookie campaign. You know, obviously made a strong argument for Rookie of the Year, but got outlasted by, you know, Steve Vandenberg. They were pretty much, you know, interchangeable players. It was a tough call at the end, but Petrino is absolutely looking to be an MVP candidate this year. He's a deadly ring shooter. He's almost become automatic from the corner there. You know, he's a guy you have to watch. He can put up 40 to 50 points in a game at any given game against any opponent.
Absolutely, and they do have that veteran factor in Vince Rhoda, as well as Jeff Yetter. These guys have played in the Cronum League for many years. Vince Rhoda has 2 titles with the Nimble Jacks under his belt, and that's the kind of thing that'll help bolster Ryan Ayers' offense and his defense too, knowing that there's that experience factor. in their back pocket.
You know, I really think you got to look at the goal zone offense for the Evergreens too. They've just been running into perfection between Malley and Dom Petrino and TJ Kane. It's been a serious offensive weapon for them, and they're kind of playing off what the Jet Sets did last year. The Jet Sets introduced it, and the Evergreens really saw something there. And to go along with that deep threat of Petrino, some foot skill guys on that team, like London can use his feet a little bit. You have that goal zone presence, and I pretty much think that every Cronum League team needs to start implementing that in some way if they want to, keep up with the evolution of the game.
Absolutely, and to really look at the whole scope of things, the Evergreens are putting together a complete team right now. The preseason showed it. They had some changes they made throughout the season where guys were playing, how they were running their offense and defense, but they were right there in the middle of the pack. They were winning games, and the games they were losing, they were only losing by a few points. So they're right in the middle of everything right now, and we're going to look to see how they adjust come the 2013 Cronum League season.
I think that a big part of that team too has been Ryan Malley. Bill Gibson said it. This is his potential. He's your front runner for Rookie of the Year, and I think I got to echo that from Bill. I mean, Ryan Malley's just been doing it all in net, in the flex, in the goal zone. He can use his feet. I mean, he's just an all-around threat on the Cronum field. I really see a lot in this kid. He was a guy I watched as he came up in the rec league, and I was nothing but impressed by him. So I hope he continues to do that in the season for them, because he's going to be extremely important, as we go down the road. But I must say, an X factor, a guy, we talk about these big name players and scoring points, but I've said it before, that big name players tend to cancel each other out. In Cronum League matches, those top players just kind of cancel each other out. So the X factor, I think, for the Evergreens is Alex Jadacki. I'm telling you, he can emerge to be a 14 to 15 point a game guy, and that's something they're going to need out of him. So I'm really looking forward to him, maybe stepping his game up in 2013 regular season and showing us a little bit more than he showed us in the preseason.
And let's see how Ayers gets his troops together. These are the new kids on the block, and we're going to see how they play come the new season. 2013 is going to be exciting to add these guys to, and we're going to all have to adjust to the new style of play.
Definitely. Ryan Ayers is going to, he's that fly under the radar kind of captain guy, but he knows his stuff. He officiated Cronum last year. He's probably has the best scouting report he could possibly have on every team in the league, so we're really excited to see them. Moving on to the Workhorses. The Horses are looking to bounce back from a forgettable season that saw them put a goose egg up in the win column. They were last in scoring, shooting percentage, and assists. So obviously the main thing to be addressed was the offense, and they sure did that, adding plenty to the arsenal. Phil Cavalcante has breathed new life into the stable and has brought a new culture to the team and a new attitude for them. This offseason, they really made a lot of moves. So the Horses finished atop the Cronum preseason at 7-2, highlighted by some late game heroics in just about every contest.
Number one, we're not hiding. Last year was an 0-12 campaign. Everybody knows it. Nobody likes to talk about it because it's in the past and it's something that's negative. We're not letting that affect this season currently. I know we had a preseason where a lot of new guys came on, but we still had a lot of holdovers from the Workhorses team, and those guys were carrying a really bad taste in their mouth, a chip on their shoulder. To be appointed captain, I knew I was going to have that chance to take newcomers and to take veterans and to help them gel together into a really, really formidable unit to help them make a run at a championship, and that's what we're going to do. But as far as everything that happened in the past, that's staying in the past. We're not looking back at all. You can tell by the way we're playing this preseason that we're moving forward. Last year was a learning point for everybody, and they made sure that that's never going to happen again. Matt Thornton, this guy brings a ton of energy. He's a newcomer to the Cronum League, but this guy, he brings 110% every time we get on the field, and it's completely amazing the way his intensity affects our overall team. But another guy who's really stepped up is Bud Yaniak. This guy was a bench player for the Throwbacks last year. He's got the power to run the middle, he's got the vision, he's got the ball handling skills, and he's got the grit. I think 100% we're a contender for the next title because you see what happens in these preseason games, and they don't tell the whole story, but I think it really encapsulates everything that's going to happen on the field. We see ourselves there at the end. If we didn't, there'd be no reason to step on the field. Message for the other 6 captains. As I say, you're going to see something completely different, and you may or may not be ready for it. That's going to be up to you. The workhorses are completely different, and you better check it because we've already laid the groundwork. In the preseason, we're going to be even better. Come February, league's going to realize how good we are.
Someone said Phil's mic's hot. So Phil, we had a little bit of a special opportunity between the two of us to talk personally about our team. So I guess I'll just kind of interview you as opposed to analyze so much, but I'll give my 2 cents into your team. As we said, offense was a big thing with the Workhorses last year. That was their main Achilles heel. They just didn't get it done on offense. They were a pretty decent defensive team, but offense was that main area that needed to be addressed. So you added 2 top 5 scorers in yourself and Luke Dugan, to go with some diversity on the field with some foot guys like Matt Erglovich. What do you think adding 2 top 5 scorers from the Cronum League is going to do for your team?
It's certainly going to help in any way, shape, or form. Top 5 scorer like Luke Dugan takes a lot of shots every game, but he puts a lot of shots on net, and that's what's very important, not missing the goal. I want to have guys on the squad that are offensive minded and can get the shots on the crown and on the chamber. And if it comes off the crown or it comes off the post, we had an opportunity to score off a rebound. It's missing the net that is totally unacceptable from my point of view. And sometimes that happens. It's just the way the game goes. But we also have great scorers. Costa Nicolos is a prime time shooter. Everybody kind of leans one way or the other with him, but I really think he set himself up in a great position, no pun intended, for that set shot to really bury home 50% of his shots. We get him open, we get him the ball in space, he's going to hit it more than half of the time, I believe. And guys like Matt Sola. Matt Sola is somebody who came into this league from the arena football spectrum, and he really brought those talents over. He cut down a little bit, he got tightened up, but he's 30 years old like me, and he's really playing like some of these younger kids. He's diving all over the chamber making saves. He's got a jump shot, he has a set shot, he's got a lot of different weapons that helps us win and helps us keep games close. Now, we haven't always come together in the preseason and put together really convincing wins, but we have been able to stay in games. Our guys have a mindset where it's, let's not let this get out of hand, let's make sure we have damage control efforts in place at all times before things get out of hand. And that's the way we've really been successful and led us to a 7-2 first place record.
So I think that another big part of an offense is the guy that runs the middle, the crosser. And Dave Slusser has really brought a new dimension to your team with the ability to hit the Cronum, hit the 4 from the point that the Workhorses didn't have last year, well, until the second half when they got Slusser. And then, now he's got weapons to kick off to, and you and Phil and Roland to Erglovich and stuff like that. He's got a little bit more options he can go to from the middle.
Absolutely. Dave Slusser is somebody who sees the entire field. Every time he's on the field. He's somebody who knows the flow of the game, knows what's going on in front of him, on the side of him, behind him, and that's what you need in a primetime crosser. And not to underestimate Bud Yaniak in any way, shape, or form. Dave
Phil,
does definitely take the
You took the words
reins.
out of my mouth here. The emergence of Bud Yaniak, man. What do you got? That's your boy.
Bud Yaniak came over from the Throwbacks. He was getting limited time over there. He didn't really fit their system overall. He gave them some good minutes in the middle of the game and spelled their crossers, who were the starters from the beginning of the game. And he came over to the Workhorses, and I gave him one task. I said, Bud, when you have the ball, you protect the ball. And he has done that and much more. You can try to stop him to get back into the middle of the field on a clear effort. You're going to have a really hard time in doing so, because not only is he quick, he's put on some weight, he's physical, and now he's seeing the field and he's using the weapons around him. He knows where guys are, and that's number one in Cronum. Know where your players are and use them to your advantage.
Absolutely. Now listen, man, one thing that I think we saw in this preseason, compared to obviously last season, is a winning mentality. Tell us about how you're going to keep that attitude going into the regular season, and what that's meant to your team to actually get some wins under your belt and get a little bit of a momentum going into the season.
Well, I came into this and we were looking we were all looking at each other for some kind of guidance, some kind of leadership, and I stepped up right away and I said, look, if you guys buy into this, and trust me, not to have any kind of ego problem or anything like that, but we will win games. We have to grind out the tough minutes. We have to stay with teams when they get ahead, and we really have to make sure we play close each and every period. My message to my guys is every team in this league makes a run. It's like NCAA basketball. You see guys on big teams make a lot of big plays, and then you see guys make a run and check them. And that's what you have to do in the Cronum League. You have to have that damage control, like I said before, and you got to fight fire with fire. If a team's playing offense on you, you got to shoot right back. And if they're playing D-hard on you, you really got to step up and check them on the defensive end from your side of things.
Absolutely. Yo, thinking about some defense here, man.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Throwbacks. Not only do they have defense, they got offense. What do you got for me, Phil?
Absolutely. The Throwbacks are a team that we see year in and year out come in with a strategy and a game plan each and every time they step on the field. Joe Farino is a great captain. Joe Farino has these guys prepared. He has his board out. He's drawing up things, and he's looking at the entire game in one shot for all of his guys. He makes sure they know each situation from the first, second, and third periods, what they're going to do when they have the ball, who they're going to go after, and basically, Joe Farino, you can bank on him cooking up something in the kitchen each and every week that's special for you.
The Throwbacks have changed this year because we actually have an offensive presence. The Throwbacks last year had a great defense, but very limited offense. And if other teams ended up bringing it, we couldn't match their firepower. This year we have a very multi-dimensional offense. I really think that if we score 100 points or more in a game, we should win because our defense is still there. One of the biggest changes so far, we made some changes on the inside. We have Graham and George who can both hit for 4 and 8, and that really makes defenses adjust to that 4-point shot. Whereas if I was in there approaching a 4, they wouldn't necessarily need to defend me. It allows our guys on the outside to get more open shots, and we've been putting them away. Jim Bradley's been putting them away. Brian Marin's been putting them away. We have a lot of very multi-dimensional stuff, but that's the biggest thing, our inside presence and the ability to shoot the 4-point shot. My shoulder surgery, I have been out for about 6 months. It gives me the opportunity to really evaluate the guys that are playing right now. Also gives me the chance to bring guys off the bench and really see what they can do. Being able to see the whole field at one time while I'm sitting out has really been a great opportunity, especially for the new guys too, because that's just one more player that's not going to eat up their playing time. So it gives my bench just a whole lot more experience coming into the regular season. There is no question you will see me back on the field come 2013, no question about it. Yeah, I think this year is going to be the Throwbacks year. I don't think there's any question about it. I think we definitely have the best defense in the league, bar none. Most of our wedgebacks are able to hit between 10 and 20 points a game if they really did their best. Bada, I think, is one of the best wedgebacks in the league, offensively and defensively. If we score 100 points, we should win on the back of our defense. But that means that we have to produce offensively. So you're going to see a lot of 4-point shots. You're going to see a lot of 2s. You're going to see a lot of rings. You're going to see a lot of dunks. We're going to come at you on all angles. So you better be ready.
And a quick look at the 2013 Chinese calendar will show you that this is the year of the snake. But Joe Farino believes that this and every year is the year for the Throwbacks to take a championship. And Joe finished with a 6-3 record in the preseason this year with his team. And their number one priority is team chemistry. They've had good talent in the past, Kyle. They really have not had a lot of guys fit their system who brought a lot to the Cronum field overall. Joe likes that specific player that buys into the game plan, runs it to a T, and makes sure that they fit into part of the system every week.
Absolutely, Phil. I really think that the main thing that the Throwbacks have implemented this year is to get that 4-point presence. Brian Marin, George Price, John Graham, these guys are starting to hit 4-point shots in the middle, and that's really bringing their offense to another level. You know, they scored 878 points this year, you know, a very weak amount of points in the Cronum League compared to the guys at the top of the league in the Nimble Jacks, Night Owls, Jet Sets, up in, you know, the 1,200, 1,100 point range. You know, that's way behind, but you saw them in the preseason scoring with the best of them, putting up 130 points. I don't think I've seen a Throwbacks team put up 130 points in the existence of Cronum.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just something that, you know, I've really been impressed with. I'll tell you right now, the Throwbacks, although finishing third in the league, I really think they might have been playing the best Cronum of any team from Game 1 to Game 9 in the preseason.
Absolutely, and Joe Farino's style is stop first, score second. He believes if you play defense, the points are going to come no matter what. And now, the Throwbacks don't have a surefire or a go-to guy per se, but they're actually looking to a plethora of guys that have offensive skills that can put up 12 to 15 a game. Nick Ferraro, Steve Farris, Steve Botta is an MVP caliber type of player. And now the emergence of John Graham from the middle, Ryan Kirby with the foot skills, and this 6'4" behemoth Brian Marin coming in and making waves early on in his rookie campaign. I really think they're going to be able to put up those points that they hadn't seen in previous years.
I'll tell you what, we were talking a little bit about Ryan Malley earlier as the Rookie of the Year candidate, but I really think Brian Marin's going to give him a run for his money. When I game planned to play the Throwbacks this preseason, you know, my main thing was stop Botta, stop Graham from the middle, and, you know, make sure, you know, you limit those guys we knew about, you know, Farris. And along comes this guy, Brian Marin, and he's just hitting 2 Cronums, 4s left and right. You couldn't leave him open. I was like, who is this guy, you know? So it was a really impressive performance, you know, and I was blown away to see a rookie like him that come out of nowhere and really just become a legitimate scorer right off the bat. But, I mean, I think it will still be a defensive mindset for the Throwbacks. Although, like you said, the offense is coming along and they're really starting to hit their stride with that. I still think Joe Farino's plan is play defense and get your stops first and keep teams under 100 points, and nobody's going to beat us.
I have a few key points for the Throwbacks now. The Ryan Hoff injury in a pickup game. He took an unfortunate hit to the leg. Looks like he's going to be out for the 2013 season, and we wish Ryan the best. We know he brings a ton to the Cronum League and to the Throwbacks each and every week. So get better and get back out on the field, Ryan. The number one player, I think, on their team overall is Steve Botta. Steve Botta is a holdover for the Throwbacks who brings his A game every time. He stops big shooter shots. He scores on the opposing wedge backs that are considered very talented in the league. A pivotal player for the Throwbacks, Jim Bradley. Jim Bradley's a versatile guy. He's starting to make shots. He's starting to make a lot of shots when he gets open now. So they're going to get him the ball in space, and they're going to rely on him to put up those 12 to 15 points there. Brian Marin is the Rookie of the Year. I think these guys are going to be a third-place finish, a semifinalist again in this 2013 season.
So one of the Throwbacks rival the Jet Sets. The Jet Sets are coming off a season that was filled with high expectations, only to see themselves bounce from the 2011 playoffs by the eventual championship-winning Nimble Jacks. The Sets brought a whole new dynamic to the game of Cronum in 2011 by evolving the goal zone offense into an art form and making it a legitimate offensive attack. After a rough preseason, they'll be looking to get back above the rings in Season 4 and try to make their first finals appearance.
This preseason, we had a big void where lost Mike Schaefer, who was a starting Ranger, our best defensive player. So I certainly had to replace him. I had to solidify our defense. We gave up a ton of points last year. And I think the biggest thing we had to do is we had to get more strength on our bench. Jets has had a lot of changes, so we had a lot of new faces playing. Our record doesn't indicate we played that well, but we've been missing a lot of key guys on different weeks, different occasions. I've been really impressed with some of our new guys that stepped up. Mike Quinton's really stepped up, Kevin Corbett. 2 guys that'll see a lot of time this season that are both new. I think all my goalies have been playing a lot better and adjusting. Zach had a rough year last year. Moving indoors, he never felt himself. Changing the ball to be half blue, half whites really helped him with his timing. He's just been a lockdown goalie or a wedge back this season. And that really goes for all of our wedge backs. You know, last year it was guys who got open and it's like, oh man, get ready to set up the offense, they're gonna score. This year, there's definitely a peace of mind. If our defense gets beat, I think any one of our wedge backs can make a great save. We got a lot more firepower this year. Barb's definitely stepped up. His shot's money right now. He gets in great position. Him and Steve Vandenberg moving him to a Ranger on offense. Between the two of them, of course, Jeff Regensburg, they're just pounding chambers and scoring a lot of points. I think we'll compete very well. I wasn't overly concerned in the preseason with game planning so much. It was more so working on our stuff and not focusing on what the other team was doing. To the other captains, I would just advise them to be ready this year. You know, certainly the preseason means something, but it doesn't mean everything. You're going to get a battle every week.
I must say, the Jet Sets are probably one of my favorite teams in Chrome to watch.
What it looked like.
They bring dynamic stuff to the round. They dunk. They're physical, man. I like the drawing, man. I love the rivalry stuff with the Throwbacks. Just one of my favorite teams all around in Cronum to watch. You know, especially with the leading scorer, Jeff Regensburg, probably my favorite player. But anyway, Matt Parsons will finally get to start a Cronum League season as their captain and be on the round from game one on. And I think we can all say we're glad about that, considering having him on the sidelines means nothing but screaming from minute 1 to minute 60.
Absolutely. Matt Parsons is a guy who's also very strategic in the sense of how he coaches his team, but he's more of a backyard, grind it out type of guy. He likes to do it more on the fly and adjust in game than he does drawing it up beforehand on the board for his entire team to buy into. One thing I've seen Matt do in the preseason is develop a new style of defense which sets up a chaser in the middle, somebody pressuring the ball at all times, and this plays right into the Jet Sets' overall style of play. It's fast, it's high pressure, and it's something, you know, it's not like a loose cannon style of play, but it's effective. When they get on a roll, it's hard to stop them, and that excitement builds on them as a team, and they use it to their advantage.
I just think they really need to start to shore up their defense, and you know, they play that high-paced, high-energy type game, but yet they can't, you know, translate that onto defense and to keep teams under even 120 points sometimes. But, you know, of course, Jeff Regensburg will continue to dominate the Cronum League on the offensive end. 3 years running now, this guy has led the league in scoring. It's literally almost just become automatic. It's every game, 30 points a game. You know, how do you think teams are going to look to stop Jeff Regensburg this year, or do you think they can?
He's big, he's physical, and he's fast. And they're hard things that are, they're three hard things when you have them in combination to stop. And there's not many guys in the league that are willing to even step to the point there when he's barreling at it full speed. He gets shots off, he rarely gets blocked, he bowls through people, and that's how he's going to get a lot of his shots. Sometimes he just takes them by force, and that's something the bigger guys in the Cronum League are starting to do because of the the emergence of the blocks.
Definitely
in the league. These guys are going to go up in the air with you, and if you can't go around them, you got to go through them.
Another guy is Steve Vandenberg. He's that same type of physical player. Will go through you as opposed to trying to go around you. And his move over from the crosser position to the Ranger position is going to give the Jet Sets a lot deeper, you know, of a look at the Ranger position. It's a shame they lost Mike Schaefer. But, you know, Vandenberg, I think, is really going to help them on the perimeter as opposed to keeping them in the middle. I think Parsons can handle that from game 1 to game 10. Another guy, Zach Van Fossen, he needs to really bounce back this year. He had a great preseason, but last year, he'll admit it to you, it was not his year, and he was supposed to be the guy that anchored that defense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Van Fossen's got a lot of skill in net. He lays out better than anybody I've seen in the league, and he reads defenders sometimes a little too early, but he always looks for cues of where the shooter's looking at, his eyes, his body angle, his where his shooting arm is when he's going up into the air. So Van Fossen brings a lot to the table, and now he's got to pick it up on offense a little bit. And a guy who definitely has picked it up on offense is Anthony Barbera. The guy's hitting fours. He's hitting the occasional ring. He's burying the twos now consistently when he's getting the open shots from the flex. And this is a guy that the Jet Sets are actually going to look to get the ball in 2013.
Oh, yeah. He gives them even that added depth beyond a Vandenberg and a Regensburg. He's become almost an automatic type shooter from the flex. You can't leave him open. So he's a guy, you know, that's going to step up, and he's going to hit, like you said, that occasional ring in a big moment. Or, you know, and he brings the high energy too. He's a great defender. He blocks shots. He's physical. Nobody really wants to jump into him, and you know, from the flex. So he's a guy that, you know, brings a presence in a quadrant and can really hold it down on his own. But you know, the main thing I didn't see from the Jetsets in this preseason that they're going to have to bring back if they're going to make that run to the finals is going to be that goal zone offense. They did not work it well in the preseason. DeLuca had an injury in the beginning, and you know, they weren't able to run it as quickly. But you know, I think they'll be okay going in 2013, and they'll get it going again.
And speaking of the goal zone offense, there's a team in 2013 as we move forward we're going to be looking at as a big-time goal zone scoring team, and that's going to be the Night Owls. They have Dan Giroux added to the roster, a Division I basketball player, Richmond grad, Sweet 16 contender, all that. And he is 6'9", and he's going to be a guy that you, Kyle, are going to have to formulate a solid game plan around, because I believe that he's somebody who brings a lot to the table, and the Night Owls are going to have to look at a lot of different things, not only their goal zone offense, but one thing's for sure, the Night Owls definitely have to come out of the dark in order to see the light.
The obvious first thing that comes to mind when you talk about the changes for the Night Owls this year is just the roster. Basically, we kind of sent half our roster to the Workhorses to bolster them from their poor performance last year and to bring guys that I've molded for the last year into the league. I'd say the biggest changes are you're going from a high-powered offensive team to now a very diverse defensive team. Last year, like I said, we were playing to outscore teams. This year, I'm going to have to totally rethink my whole plan. Chris Vontenhausen has brought a new element to his game. He was an assist man last year. He could hit the rings, everybody knows that, but he has now brought that shooting element from the four. Joe Tulsi is another guy that has definitely brought his game to another level. He's got the best arm in the league, and he hasn't been a 20-point a game scorer, and that's all I've preached to him. I'm like, dude, we need you scoring 20 a game. But what's even more incredible about Joe Tulsi is that he shoots right-handed and left-handed. And the scary thing is that he's probably just as efficient with either arm. It's definitely something that no other team has. Ken Duman's really jumping out of my head as a rookie that stepped up. He had 15 saves his first game out, and I don't know if anybody maneuvers on the field with the ball at their feet better than Ken Duman. Another guy is Matt Nuding. He's a lefty, he's another wedge back. He's got one of the best arms in the league. Having so many lefties on my team, it's such an added bonus. Most teams in the league only have about 1, 2 lefties top. We have 4 lefties on our team. Another guy we added this year is former Division I center Dan Giroux. He's 6'9". He's now the largest individual in the Cronum League, and I really don't see many teams being able to guard him in the goal zone. Being a new team, we had to set goals every game. We couldn't just jump in there and say, hey, we're gonna go and put up 100 points a game and run with the Urban Legends and the Nimble Jacks, the elite teams in the league. You can't just expect that from guys that have never had any Cronum League experience. So we're gonna lose some games, and we're gonna have to take that on the chin, but it's just gonna be part of this growing process. Going into the Cronum League this year, you're going to see my team compete with every team, but by the second half of the year, we might be the most dangerous team in the Cronum League. I see the flashes of greatness on my team. It's just got to all come together for 3 periods. I wouldn't sleep on the Night Owls, man, because we're going to be there in the end.
And the Night Owls are going to be looking for team chemistry that's facilitated through a new identity. They're going to have to brand themselves as a fully new team this year. They have a lot of new things coming into play this year, a lot of players, a lot of new guys who have experience with other teams, plus guys who are completely new to the league. And McGrath, Kyle can attest to this firsthand, needs to get all these guys under wraps on the same page in order to win games this year.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that was plaguing us in the preseason was not putting together a full 60 minutes. You know, we played good for a first period and a third period, but a bad second period. You know, any other one of those combinations, it's just you didn't see 3 periods of solid Cronum, but 1 game all preseason. You know, I was pretty excited to see some of my guys where they were at by the end of the preseason, like Corey Schuban and Jeff Gerace, who are going to move into starting roles from the Ranger and Crosser position. We'll be getting Jay Klein back for the regular season. So I really think, you know, surprisingly, you're going to be seeing a much more defensive team like I talked about in the video. I really think the defense of the Night Owls is going to be the catalyst. And, playing at a different pace than you've ever seen us play at. It's been high energy, high pace offensive team. You had to play at our pace or, keep up or you're not going to win. So this year we're kind of going to take a step back and take a page out of the Nimble Jacks book and maybe play a little bit more balanced on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely, balance is key. Goal zone scoring, 4-point shots, the occasional 8-point shots have all been something that the Owls have performed consistently and executed over the years with the different offensive talents that they've had. They're explosive. One thing they did lack was the foot skills, and I believe they've been able to add that. A guy like Can Duman and also Bob Zane, Bill Zane coming over from the Workhorses with Brett McGlenzie. But those three, the first three guys I named, definitely can lend that scrappiness, that hustle inside the wedge zone on offense and defense to either, kick the ball out on D and clear the zone or bury it home off a rebound.
Yeah, I think, I've never really seen a guy like Can Duman, any player on the Cronin round be able to maneuver through the field of play with the ball at his feet. It's not something that's very, easy to do, especially with the ability to dive at the ball with your hands out in the flex and cross. So, just the way he's moved with the ball at his feet has been incredibly impressive in this preseason, and we're going to look to utilize him a lot more in the regular season. But a guy that I think you're going to see move into the foot skill game in the wedge that you've never seen is Jay Klein. Jay Klein was never usually a utilized wedge player, but with some of these guys I can put around him now to utilize foot skills, I might be able to bring a new dimension to him on the round.
Jay Klein definitely brings energy every game, and it's something he never leaves at home. Looking at their overall, their roster for 2013, McGrath, Tolsky, CVT, the Zane brothers, Brett McGlenzie, Jay Klein. You got a number one, a top 5 scorer in Kyle McGrath. You have a pivotal player in Brett McGlenzie. This is a guy who was playing on Workhorses last year, and I believe he was playing out of place. I believe he's going to be able to have a home here and find a lot of open shots because the other scorers from the Owls will take a lot of heat off him. He's a big guy. He's a big target. Defenses really develop plans around him. He's going to get open shots because of that, that supporting cast. Can and Giroux are my rookies who are going to have a lot of impact this year. They're two players who bring a lot of talent individually. They just need to find their way to fit into the Night Owl system. Projected outcome, I think you guys are 5th place finisher, maybe quarterfinalist, you know what I mean? Overall, I think they're going to be a threat in 2013.
Absolutely, Phil. But a team that beat the threat last year, beat the Night Owls in the playoffs, the Urban Legends. Their team motto says it best. The Urban Legends continue to play Jekyll and Hyde, with the latter being coming out this preseason. The City Boys saw some rough patches in the fall, but we'll be looking to get back into the same form they were at the end of the season last year and start to really show what they're made of. Kevin Clark is the reigning Cronin League MVP, but there's doubts as to whether he'll be able to repeat that performance and see a little bit of that magic that you saw at the end of the season 3.
Last year, we ended up losing in the finals. To be fair, we caught some nice breaks going into the year. We won 2 overtime games that went to a shootout, which you can't really rely on. One of the rare things our team has is our captain, Corey Robertson, is actually a wedgeback. Not too many teams have a wedgeback as a captain, so our team's precipitated on our defense. He really focuses on let's get our rotations down, let's get our team set, and let's make sure they don't have any open shots. And I think through the preseason, we learned that rotation. Along with that, our offensive structure changed a little bit. We recognize that it's not sustainable to have Clark score 8s all game long. We really need to identify who our top 4 or 5 guys are going to be, and then we're going to kind of mold our offensive plays around them. We're going to make sure that we get a guy open who can shoot and score consistently, but we also need to get those guys who are going to be our higher scoring guys in positions that even if they're not wide open, they have a look at the net. I think we have 16 guys deep who can score from anywhere on the round. Teams aren't going to recognize how much scoring we really have until the season starts. As far as I'm concerned, I think our biggest step up from year to year was Mike Reagan. He had a very successful year last year, especially for a rookie. With his size and athleticism, he's able to take that extra time. He can jump from the point, draw the 2 defenders there, and then dish it off. Mike Reagan's emergence as that point guard or that ball handler of our team, I think you're going to see a lot more scoring from a lot more people. As far as our new guys, I think what you saw was a new presence on our team in Pat Dexter. He's a big jump shooter. That type of scoring is something that we don't have. With Dan Vignola, I think he fits our team better. He played D1 soccer at Drexel University, same with Corey Robinson, same with Kevin Glover, and so forth. One of the biggest things he brings to our team is versatility. Along with that, Dan Vignola's defense is going to give us another added dimension. I think we have 12 to 13 guys on our team who could literally run the whole game. Going into this year, I think we're a prime contender. After seeing how difficult our preseason was, you won't have guys with that hangover saying, oh, well, we were in the finals last year, so who cares, we'll be fine. You're gonna see a strong team coming out, especially at the start of the Pro League. We'll be kind of meshing together, and then come the second or third game, you'll see, I think, a top flight team in the league. I'm gonna say watch out. It doesn't need to be anything, any big broad statements. I think everyone knows who we are.
You know, Phil, I really think that the main thing that was wrong with the Urban Legends in this preseason was they lost their flow on offense without Clark in the middle. You know, I'm not going to sit here and really, you know, judge other people's coaching philosophies, but I really don't understand why Kevin Clark was taken out of the middle of the field. He just brought that dynamic presence that every time he touched the ball, he may hit an 8-point shot.
Yeah, he's a dangerous player when he has the ball, and that's a guy you want other teams to worry about because it opens up the field for your consistent shooters. Clark at times flies around and you don't know where he's going because I don't believe he knows where he's going half the time. This guy will run around the middle of the field and make you chase him to all ends until he puts up a 4-point or an 8-point shot that often finds its way through a crown ring. He hit 3 in a game last year. He hit 2 against the Night Owls in the playoff semifinals last year and basically won the game on his own, or at least brought it into overtime for the Legends to get the win. But this is a guy you want in the middle of the field. He has everyone's attention when he has the ball. Defenses stand on points to stop him, and that's going to make the field a lot bigger and create a lot more scoring opportunities for other players.
Absolutely, and I think those other players that are going to have to be utilized are your ground game guys. They are the main team. They are the poster child team in the league for foot play. They have Division I soccer players up and down that bench, and I don't think they utilize that ground game enough. Sometimes they get sucked into playing the handball game in the flex, and it doesn't make any sense to me why they don't keep pounding the ball into the wedge, because Corey Robertson, Todd Wampler, Frank Buffa, Dan Vignola, all these guys were Division I soccer players. Kevin Glover, obviously. I mean, these guys can pound the ball home from the wedge, and especially with the new Cronin ball being designed the way it is, it's a great tool to be used at your feet. But keep mentioning somebody I just mentioned, Kevin Glover. This guy may be the best all-around Cronin player in the league. Wedge back, score, throwing, kicking, whatever, 4 points, 2 points through the ring. It's unbelievable the amount of skill sets this guy has and can bring to the round.
Tell you the truth, I don't know who this Glover character you keep talking about it is, but I do know that Corey Robertson has been hands down the most clutch wedge back in the league at making stops over the past 2 years. Penalty shots, one-on-one shots with great shooters in the league. He's been able to turn away consistently, and more often than not, he's been victorious in those shootouts. He took away the Jet Set's top shooters last year. He took away the Night Owls' top shooters last year. But also to play to your Kevin Glover fiddle, I really believe he's a primetime player. There's no doubt about it. He's a guy that brings so many tools to the table. Throwing that hook shot, is almost unsavable when he gets an open look on it. And then the fake with the roll in, it's all part of his complete game that makes him probably one of the most dangerous all-around players in the league.
But I really think a guy you're going to see emerging this season as an intricate part of their team defensively and offensively is Mike Regan. He's their X factor in my opinion. Brian Sperling had that role for many years. I think he's getting a little older, but I still think he'll be that role player on the outside that'll just bury it from the flex all day. But Mike Regan, to me, is going to be a guy that can run the ball in the middle. He can score from the flex. He can hit a 4. He's got a lot of things he can do. He rebounds in the wedge with his feet. I'm really excited to see what Mike Regan's going to bring in his second year, his sophomore year as a Cronin League athlete.
Absolutely. And looking at the team that beat the Urban Legends in the finals of 2012, the Nimble Jacks. These guys have had multiple successes since 2009, I believe it was. they put together their team that's comprised of a lot of guys who played sports together over the years, a lot of guys who were familiar with each other's skill sets, and they brought some outsiders in to really fit the pieces of the puzzle. And we all know that 2013 is going to be an exciting year, and the Jacks are a team overall that look to be going for a defending championship. And now what they're doing is going to be going from world champions to defending champions. So they're not the Cronum League world champions no more. They're the defending champions in 2013, and they're going to have the crosshairs on their backs.
We only typically have 2 or 3 guys that maybe turn over every year. This year, we've had a little more than that. We really had to not redefine our team, but we really just had to incorporate everyone's strengths. One thing that I've definitely learned is how to shape the team so that we can continue to have the same identity, but with a higher turnover rate. We lost Petrino because I think he was the leading scorer on our team. For any team to lose their leading scorer is really a big hit. Someone that's stepping up huge is Dan Geiger. He's killing it. He is almost as automatic as Petrino was. We lost Matt Kump. We replaced him with Tyler Blood. He's stepping up too. That is a very similar role that Blood is stepping into, where he's not going to shoot too much, but his ball movement is very good. Another addition we had was Jesse Barone. He's a wedge back. Right now he's competing with the starting 4. He's playing great. Ryan Tressler we picked up as a backup ranger from the Throwbacks. He's got a really strong arm. Richie Schaefer also is stepping in as a backup ranger. He's a very scrappy player and actually one of the most intelligent players, I think, on our team. The Nimble Jacks are different because we have the best endurance in the league and our heart and passion for the sport. No matter if we're ahead or we're down, whatever, going into the 3rd period, your team better come ready to play because the 3rd period is where we shine. Most teams get tired, they start to slow down a little bit, and we just push right through it. And if anything, we try to speed up our game because we know people are a little bit more tired. I want people to say the Nimble Jacks had a great season and they were relentless. No matter how many points they were up, they continued to run the score up. They didn't care. They just were proving a point that they're the best in the league. We're always going to continue to bring our A game, every period, every possession. We're relentless.
And we're back with our final recap. The Nimble Jacks had a lot of success. Again, they picked up where they left off from last year with a 7-2 preseason record. And Scott Kennedy's been at the helm of this team for quite a while now. And since he's been at the helm of this team, he's really had these guys focused. Everybody needs to buy into the game plan is the mindset here. He has these guys staying the course and buying into the plan each and every week. He doesn't want anybody who's not going to fit the scheme well. Much like Joe Farino, he's got a plan each and every week. I don't know what he's doing to keep these guys motivated so often, whether he's telling them they're not getting pizza and popsicles and soda after the game if they don't play their hardest, like the Little League coaches do. But you don't know what he's saying in the huddle to make this team so successful. And I really believe he's got these guys and really, really excited for another championship run this year.
Absolutely, Phil. I think that it's been true since 2009. They played from period 1 to period 3, minute 1 to minute 60. You have to play all 3 periods against the Nimble Jacks. They proved it against the Evergreens in the preseason. With a 20-point deficit going in the 3rd, they still pulled out a victory. But one thing that I didn't see from the Nimble Jacks in this preseason was convincing wins like you've seen from them over the years. They were not the same. They didn't have that same mystique on the round as they've had, in years past. I really think this may be the year where you see that Cronum League dynasty kind of fall from the reins a little bit. I'm not sitting here saying that I don't think they're going to be there in the end. Chances are they probably will be. But, I really just don't. It's not like you're going to go into every round that they're playing and say, well, here comes another Nimble Jacks win. Chalk it up. Definitely not the case here. The Nimble Jacks got runs, from the Evergreens and Night Owls. They were beaten by the Workhorses twice in the preseason. I'm not seeing the same automatic type mindset as when you're going into a game. But, you look at the loss of Joe Petrino, that really hurts their team. He was the 2nd leading scorer on their team and, behind Jared O'Donnell. But, I think Geiger really has stepped up, like Scott Kennedy talked about. He's automatic from the flex. I just don't know if he has shown that big play mentality, though, that Joe Petrino had for the Nimble Jacks.
Yes, Joe brought a lot to the table, and unfortunately they were, they'll be losing that this year. But they still have guys, Ryan Coyne, Jared O'Donnell, Ben Hutchinson, who I believe is going to be probably MVP candidate by the end of the season. His prowess in goal, along with his ability to put the ball in the net consistently, has really, really, really brought him to the forefront as an elite player. One thing the Nimble Jacks are good at is being aggressive on both sides of the ball. They'll go after you on defense, and they'll really put up quick shots on offense. They'll try to steal the ball away from you, create turnovers, turn them into points, and they look to go on big runs in a short amount of time to really draw the heart out of opposing teams. They look to really sink the other teams as quick as possible in a 2 or 3 minute run, and they've done that successfully over the past few seasons, and that's what separated them in that middle to late portion of each game they played. I think a player who needs to step up big time this year is Jared O'Donnell. The guy, when he gets that offensive mindset and when he really goes into attack mode, can put up 40 a game on you and you can't stop him. When he sits back a little, he might be okay with getting 6 to 8 assists a game and helping some other guys like Ryan Coyne get some open shots, dish to Pete Whites in the goal zone. But I really believe that when he turns it on, he's hard to stop. Richie Schaefer's a guy that's going to have to come off the bench and help them. The Jacks are looking for bench help this year. Scott was playing all his reserves in the preseason, giving them ample time to get ready for the season, make an impact.
I agree with that because I think this is, they haven't been as deep as they've been in previous years, so I think he really needed to utilize that bench, and he did so. So, I really looked to Scott Kennedy, probably the most clutch player in the Cronum League, to piece it together in another year.
3-time champs, might stay that way.
What more are you going to say?
Not.
Yeah, right? So, we're going to have a regular segment here on Around the Round. It's going to be called Cavs Corner. This guy, he's known for his incredible lines, his references to pop culture, and how he intertwines them into Cronum. So we're going to give Phil a chance here to touch on a topic that I think is pretty prevalent in Cronum, and it's been showing its true colors the most this year.
And moving forward, just to make everything clear from when you get this segment, I'll have a full Hefner smoking jacket, a pipe, and possibly 3 bunnies surrounding me. Kyle will skedaddle on out of here. We'll get 3 beautiful ladies in here as my supporting cast. But one thing I want to talk about as we look into this 2013 season is old school versus new school. You got a clash this year of old style players, and they're not even that old. They're 4, 5 years older than some of these new style players. These guys are bringing excitement to the game, and they're clashing with a consistent, kind of laid back, I guess you could say, style of play. The new guys are developing a lot of new tactics on offense. The Jet Sets did it last year. Vinny Greco, Jim Andorco, Nick DeLuca. They recreated the goal zone game, which was non-existent outside. The Evergreens saw that. They picked that up right away as one of the new teams. But they also have guys like Joe Petrino and Vince Rhoda, who know they can get 4-point shots off and be effective that way. I think Joe's a new guy to the league, even though he's in his second year. He can still be a little bit of a more consistently throwback style of shooter. I really think these guys that are coming into the league now are going to have a huge impact, and the best is yet to come. New kids on the block are what we want. The high school era is going to come up. That's going to change the game even more. And old dogs are still learning new tricks, which is exciting too, because I'm 30, some of the other guys are 30, and we're going to continue to get older and older, but we got to, evolve with the league to be effective, and that's just the way things are in the Cronum League.
Well, Phil, I think we can all agree that this is the most anticipated year of Cronum to date. The parity across the league has given, that any given Sunday mentality that you can win a game against any team any day. And, that to me is what's most exciting. I think in the past, the Cronum League was a little predictable, and last year you saw some unpredictable things happen in the Cronum League, which really excites you for what you could possibly see happen this year. And that's any team in this league to take the crown and to really see the game evolve and see what the next goal zone offense evolution is going to be. All the videos from this podcast can be seen on YouTube after, we're going to be loading these up. They're going to be broken out into their own separate videos, so you're going to be able to watch them all separately. Our first annual Winter Classic is this weekend. We're going to be looking to do this every year, so if you want to travel down to Pennsylvania and play on the original Cronum round, look for that next year. Cronum has accomplished a lot this year, and there's a lot more to come, and we've expanded to new locations. We've ran our first high school and college tournaments. We're looking to go up to New York in the spring and, all over the nation and really do some special things for Cronum and start to get this game out there and really listen to what Cronation has said to us this past year and truly, accomplish what we've built up as this Take the Field campaign. So check us out on Cronum.com for all your news, content, and gear. Follow us on Twitter at Cronum League. Like us on Facebook.com/Cronum. Subscribe to us on YouTube.com/Cronum League. For Full Cavalcante, I'm Kyle McGrath, and thanks for joining us here on Around the Round. We'll see you next time. Take the field.